Here we go. Hey, Ms. Wicked Wolf. Any other nightmares? Trista? Now to see if Isaac Porter is habitual as Fran claims. Right, that's why I'm here. Fran gave me a lead. Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met? I think he was close with him, yeah, at some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw that their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the last month. But Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night. So they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together? Oh, she's just gonna go there. That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate. Adonai, it's only I'm getting a very important text messages from my private investigator. Excuse me. Sex averse, are you, Morgan? Or just uncomfortable talking about it in regards to David specifically? God. Did you catch that killer yet? No. What the hell? I sent you his POS. I'm at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now. Lame. Surprise you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Asher a corporate sellout in your eyes? Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Asher gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect. I get that. I get that. I see what you did there, Trista. No luck catching those killers, then. That's almost sweet, I think. Asher started out working in Cube, so, in the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like, I don't know. As a kid, he built all his bricks by hand. Or something. You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies. Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. I take it Cube is a programming language. What's special about it? Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically. But not Cube. You can look it up. But basically Cube was originally for robotics and like machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines under the ocean. Middle of nowhere fields with zero signal service, so Cube had to be self-sufficient. How rugged. Where'd Asher learn Cube anyway? It's older than dirt. It's from like the 40s. I don't know. Maybe his father had a machine shop or something? Vague. Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family. And I never asked. What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai? Not telling. Yeah. Huh. It's considered defunct, but... Huh. Feel like that's gonna come up. Not telling. Alright, let's get a sense of the place first. A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. Hope this isn't the kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good is when you're drunk enough to forget the taste in the gap between chewing and swallowing. That's not true of all bar food. It's true of a lot of bar food, but not all of it. So you can, like, eat things? Yes, I can. What, like Android food? There is no such product. So what do androids eat? Online user guides for Noble's Warm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whatever they, quote, need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes. Sounds a lot like what mod users go through with their sports drink and energy bars and charger separation anxiety. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbonate pellets if they need to forego electrical charging long-term. Processed pellets, you mean like kibble? Like dog food? No, it's not like dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? It seems that you can. How is this something you have to look up, anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever Father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef? Never hydroponic avocados? Foie gras? The fuck? He was feeding foie gras to his android? What the hell, dude? Never hydroponic. Okay, so like it's a natural foods movement. Okay. Huh. That sort of thing. I'm not paying for any of that. Stage for talent, pretty close to the floor. I guess it fits the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark once you get past the bouncer. Do you think they might have met here? David and Porter? Can't see David walking in here. Because you found the walk so challenging. Because it's too loud to relax. Not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You've got an opinion to share? The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite... I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like? Early 21st century punk rock. Don't wanna be an American idiot. I kind of want her to break out like in... I mean, Green Day's what I'm going to, but I don't know. Avril Lavigne. That makes sense, Rem. Is that just you, or does that go for all androids? I haven't met all androids. I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they'll say the music peaked with early 21st century punk rock. Debate settled. Is there anything else to check? Oh. Hello? What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview? Exclusive sit down with luxury. Most beautiful woman in the world. And people think it's an ego thing, but it's just a random username I picked up when I was grassroots. We gonna save it? Oh, luxury is the name. Oh, I thought luxury was like they were saying, oh, we're sitting down with someone who lives luxuriously. Like, that's the name? Okay. And it was a pseudonym to give me a little shade from all the attention. Now it's a brand. And I can't change it without setting the stock market into a spin. To be honest, it's a pain in times like this. You gesture towards your clothes and... Wow, what a frickin' puff piece. Huh. Huh. Interesting. However old she is or isn't, Luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. It might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe. It's one hell of a face. In the meantime, she's trapped between a rock and the hard place. If she steps out of line, her sponsors will bleed each other dry in bidding wars for her wardrobe's limited real estate. There's no skin off her back. She's already got more money than she could ever spend. But corporations can't afford to not keep growing, so they never reach a point where they can afford to lose. She's smart enough to take advantage of that. Good for her. Hello. I remember in one of the culture novels it's mentioned there's people in the culture who got off on eating the processed mush androids secrete after eating for the sake of social acceptance. Ah, that's an odd detail. It's him, all right. Looks like he's killing time before his set tonight. Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai? I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me... yeah, I don't have time to mess around here. Isaac Porter. What's up? My name's Morgan. I was David's friend. Right now I'm his lawyer. Can we talk? Depends. Were you a friend from work? No. Over here. All right. Don't thank me yet. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend? I'm his defense attorney. Think you missed the bus on that then, yeah? And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else, friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks. You might not have seen him, but we both know you spoke with him over the phone yesterday, only a short time before he died. How the hell, Isaac? It's pretty obvious you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary, so why don't we cut to the chase? No lies, no playing coy. Fine. Sarah. Yes, Adonai? The hell? Is that thing transmitting? I am not streaming any data, no. Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either, one more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court. Fine. You two were together, is that correct? We were together. I ended it yesterday. Care to elaborate on our entire relationship? Look, you can tell me everything once, or I can get it on the record, or you can hear the same questions over and over again from a thousand different cops and Megs for the next 3 months. We met in a bar. Seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else. Each time talking with his mouth, but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off. scribbling on napkins, letting his single gin and tonic sweat onto the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes, and he'd still sit for the rest of the night unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night things were slow and my set had been canceled and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he insisted on coming here night after night just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in and a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, "Because I like your music." Man, did that tick me off. It was cute early on, him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand, and I liked that we gave each other space, you know. Felt like we were being mature or whatever. Until there was no one day where everything turned sour. But at some point, I started to understand where his priorities were and how I ranked in them. And like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed he would also be passionate about me at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him. Like that isn't the biggest red flag in the world. Well, at least you recognize that. He never budged. I could ignore him for days. He wouldn't be the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset. He'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. That is one interpretation, I suppose. It was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights, not giving a shit when people walked away, and I still had this stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. That I would be special. But I wasn't. So, I ended it. Last night, I called him, didn't expect he'd pick up. He had everything prepared. I had everything prepared to leave a message with the assistant or ad or whatever. But he answered. First ring. Without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. And that ticked me off. So I told him exactly how valued he'd made me feel the past few months, and I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Asher. And what did he say? He apologized. Then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him. Hey, Context, good to see you. Woof. I hung up after that. Spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain for him and his coldness. He'd made that very easy for me. I went to sleep hurt, but clean, ready for something new. Then this morning I wake up to see that my ex killed himself within 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life without so much as a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? And now, you're just the tip of the iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards, parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Asher over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking too much. It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide. You serious? You don't have all the facts. And you do? Any one of them pointing to anything else? Thought so. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it. That's it? No summons? The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that. The court, huh? Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive. Yeah, thanks. And your range is remarkable. So it pained me to see that all your works in the last quarter have been so melancholy. I think, what the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the words? Need to steal him from somewhere first, butcher him before shitting him back out? I was not trained on any datasets that... Nah. Pardon me, my mistake. Really, not your fault. You're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century. Sarah, I get you weren't prepped for that, but that's gonna be a thing. What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression that I was programmed using a mass automated learning model on early 21st century. Not that. Why did you talk to him? I just felt that I should say something to him. A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from the people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on a parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai? Well, yeah. Just a passing conspicuous. Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on, there's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter was right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. I mean, like, I'm not necessarily sure that we've gotten anything that says he doesn't kill himself. I'm pretty sure I have figured out what it was that killed him. Pretty sure I got that locked down. But that doesn't say how it got in his drink, and right now him putting it there himself is still the best theory going. I mean, it'll prove to be wrong, I'm sure, but still. No, I get that, 255. Just, you know, interesting detail to choose to do. But if there did exist any hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there's only one place I could find it at this point. Where are we going? Noble Employee Housing Building. Oh, back we go. The basement. You sure you don't want another look at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Got to approach this from another angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive, flip the chessboard and all that. Haven't you ever read a mystery novel? I've seen mystery films. Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed David Asher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system. Now, how did the poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. And if he had inhaled it, why? Leave the whys to someone who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering my questions. I suppose it's possible. See, actually, the thing that I like, Tris, is like Sarah got cut off, but there's a direct implication that the AI tech that is currently being built is not what these androids are running off of. Like her dialogue pretty straightforwardly implied that what the nonsense we're mucking about with now is not what is going on here, which I like as a detail, and I think is one worth putting in for anything that is meant to take place in the future of the world we currently exist in. See, I'm not annoyed 255 for the exact reason that I just said. And like personally, I already had sympathy for her. But I think that one detail actually makes a big difference. Because if she'd started to say something like, those are older models, I'm far more advanced, then I'd be upset. But instead she was like, oh, that's an old way of trying to do this. And like, she didn't get to finish the thought, but the clear implication, at least to me, it was pretty clear, was that this is completely different tech that is in no way based on the current nonsense. So I think that's one of those like single lines that patches over a lot of problems, at least for me. But highly unlikely. We would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right, an airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area. No one around David has shown any kind of symptoms. So all we're left with is oral intake. Hang on. Was there an inhaler in the room? Like, inhalers are super common at this company. Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai? Young's corroborated statement was that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night, and the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup, the results were inconclusive. Young was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but didn't get sick. We have to conclude then that David's cup alone was poisoned. That all seems logical and consistent with the police's theory of suicide, so why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0. David left the parlor, came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Young told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So we have to conclude then that he got them both from this bar. Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? The police have been in here since we left. According to their ARC files, they didn't find anything that matches that poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then. I need to flip this around again. I already figured out what killed him. I do feel like I'm a little bit ahead of the game. Unless I'm wrong. It's possible that I'm wrong about what it was that killed him. I'm pretty sure I'm not. The implication, Trista, at least that I read on that, was that Isaac, that Porter was carrying basically long-standing issues against AI that are holdovers from when it was trained differently. And we have no establishment in the timeline about how long AI was trained on something, was attempted to be built off something like that. And it's flatly implied that it was David Asher who came up with something that didn't require that kind of stuff. Now, it is still kind of presenting it a bit like a prejudice, which not the best thing in the world. But again, that implication does a lot for me. If I were the prosecution, well, what I want more than anything, proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that, and you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 p.m. to 7:40 when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But Adonai, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. Were her eyes recorded? Well, no, she was in the vault. What do you mean? This whole building is coated head to toe with Penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every Android on every floor, it's all plugged into Penumbra, except that. That panel is manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console for a different security system in exactly one corner of his penthouse? Oh. I've never given it much thought. Well, neither had I. Well, it's been bothering me all day. But my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. Right! That's the one with the absurdly long passkey. Right. Signal hijacking, or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before? It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not... he would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can, now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purpose of record keeping? Yes. I've gotten past the 64-digit code and I have found cameras. There are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceilings. As you theorize, they are on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to if not the penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. A false wall in the back of the safe. I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Paranoia, I would assume. Beats me. He was brilliant, more than a little odd. Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric. I see. I think. I don't. The hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? I do love that. I love that, like, we'll get Morgan's thoughts that are in complete contradiction to what she just said. Why didn't he come to me for... Time's short. Gather facts now, leave the computation for later. So wait a second. What did David do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising? Did you ever see him using any of this crap? No. But he must have used weights when I wasn't looking, since he promised me that he'd take better care of his health. Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't put up numbers like this even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure, Adonai. Pardon? The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the musculature of a world-class professional rugby player enters the global Danske Bank on Frederiksberg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and that he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind a nightstick and swings, and the man simply catches the weapon, bends it into a twisted knot with his massive dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect to the police afterwards, the teller only had to say the man was all muscle. The rest of the bank heist proceeds without incident. The man exits the building just as police arrive on the scene when suddenly his suitcase explodes. Sarah, where are you going with this? But it's just a smoke screen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy, rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist and trained hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnosis: acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality, and so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed. Okay, Sarah, where the hell are you going with this? Where are you going with this, girl? You are defensive as hell, aren't you? Sarah, every single word you just said was false. Don't believe everything you read on the net. Hey there, Dharma. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Why can't I go and check what's back there? Is that the original? It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see? I see a meeting. Or perhaps an encounter. Two apex forces of nature. Two kings of the forest, the stag and the tiger, I think. Great, I'm officially less cultured than the robot. Liquor cabinets this mystery hinges on. Police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find foreign contents in any of the spirits. No poison to be found here. Well, not that kind of poison anyway. In which case, can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have... Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever. technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up. Maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb on top of the bar. This is a rolling ladder, a kind of step ladder, not a ladder. Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out, and it's important to know the distinction. I bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again, ever. What am I missing? Right. What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know. I've never noticed that crack before. I want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation. How? Did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over in the same spot? Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially, though a bunk bed would imply a second or a third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Got it open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It is a Tethys basic Sturdicure. That anti-hack feature in the name is real? It's a closed system, Adonai. The hell am I supposed to do now? Strange. There was an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters. I don't follow. When Father last adjusted the settings here, he made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. And he made it so I was the only one who could wake her up, meaning this is a door that only I can open? It'll be a 6-character password, some combination of numbers or letters. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that revolved around a 6-letter word? Nothing comes to mind. Is there a code word he knew only I could learn? Shit. Fuck. Am I supposed to know this? Hold on. Hold on. No. Okay. Could it be your birthday or his? If David set the password to something as dumb as that, I'd never forgive him. As you say, Adonai. No, he would have picked a code whose significance was only obvious after the fact. The hell. It's very annoying that it's making me do this, and it's taken access away from all my resources. Like, so I can't cross-check anything. Is this a supposed to fail moment? Might be. Was last time. At least on the first go. Oh, it can include numbers or letters. Ah, damn it. All right, this is either a supposed to fail moment, or this is something really obvious that I'm missing, because it's not giving me access to any data to cross-check. So it's expecting me to either not be able to do this at all, or to just know. Which means I'm either supposed to get it wrong, or I'm just Mr. Thickety Thickface from Thicktown, Thickania. And so's your dad. Sorry. Maybe, Rem. I'm not hopeful on that, but hang on. I want to at least give a spirited shot at something. Okay, so now I've got access. Let's see. Well, that was the code for the previous one. So it wouldn't be that again. Well, we do say thick 255, but we usually mean something else. Really interesting that, like, in red must be recently changed all the past tense. Huh. Interesting. See, again, like, I feel like I'm either missing something incredibly obvious, or I'm wasting a ton of time because I'm just supposed to fail. And I'm a little bit annoyed that I'm not sure which it is. Sorry, this is bugging me too much. Hang on. I'm gonna see if I can... I'm just gonna see if I can figure out whether or not I am meant to fail, and see if I can figure that out without actually spoiling the answer. So give me a second. Crime scene, the morgue. David Asher's basement, second visit. Okay. All right. Well, whoever made this walkthrough does a very good job. They have a bunch of stuff put underneath spoiler tags. So it is not supposed to fail. I am supposed to be able to figure this out. Okay. All right, give me a second. There's the backlog. Hang on. There we go. Oh. That's why she's calling me that. It's not like a random preference. That's like deep programming. Ha! I sort of got that myself. Again, the excuse me, the walkthrough I looked up is really well constructed because it like had 3 levels of hints. It like had a general hint, a more specific hint, and then just the answer. But all those were hidden under spoiler tags. I looked up the general hint, and it said look through their dialogue. For the hint. There it is. What was it? It was Adonai. It's what Sarah's been calling me this whole time. You'd never guess. Son of a bitch. Clever bastard. Okay, that's actually kind of a clever solution to that. Yeah. All right. Did feel a bit out of character, David, utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech. I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here and it all makes sense. It's a panic room. Like, it probably would have taken me forever for me to get it, Trista, without, like, the general hint of, like, look through the dialogue between these characters. That's when it occurred to me. So I still feel kind of clever, and it is a pretty clever. It's in plain sight, and it's a word you've been hearing over and over, and it comes directly from something associated with David. Yeah, something like that, Nit. That was established back when she first started calling me that because Morgan didn't want to be called master or mistress. So that was the alternate phrase that Sarah came up with. Scary. A panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on the blueprints. So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all this. I don't want to miss my one chance because of a discovery technicality. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory is flawless. I can play back visual, sound sensation. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human. And some canines. So does it smell stale in here to you? Stale. It doesn't to me, almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. I don't think the console is password protected. 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton of Android, and a secret phrase? If David set a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. You're looking for camera footage. I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here. Use search for video files. They'll probably be timestamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals, once every week it seems. Most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday around 4 p.m. You were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at that time is David himself. All right, let's see it then. Of course, it's just that I am having difficulty. Try double-clicking? I've been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, Adonai, and they are encrypted. Damn it, David. You leave me enough clues to get this far, but you don't let me use your computer. What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Motherfucker. Shit. David Asher hand-wrote the encryption on these files. There's no one alive who could... Hey, was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power literally that special? Adonai, can you break his encryption, yes or no? With enough time? And how much time would that be? I would estimate it at 2 to 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated encryption is still just code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially, which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes so long as the work routine is rote. So you're doing it in the back of your head? Actually, I'm speaking... I knew that was coming. I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I was going to say, the decryption is not rote. Talking to you is rote. That's good. That's good. I like that. There's some science that shows human noses aren't actually any less sensitive than a dog's. We're just worse at processing the data. Something you can train at. Interesting. I could give the decryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take the show on the road, or do we have to rip the computer out of the wall and find a battery? I've copied the encryption files and we'll work on them as we travel. We can leave whenever you are ready. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did get me this far, and the computer's not the only thing in here. Cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than his computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds, and holdings. Platinum bar. His birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Asher's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. Noble's logo on the front, and in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. They're masking it in legalese, even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Really? A binder containing the full text of David Asher's employment contract with Noble Electronics details, compensation, grounds for dismissal, definitions for what constitutes breach of contract, and how arbitration would be handled. Not a light read. Hold on to this for me. It must be very important if you're giving it to me. It's certainly very heavy. Was there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up? It is a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. A widely believed and respected genre with over 2 centuries up, there is something else. Your papers. That Evangeline Morgan will be given immediate and complete ownership of the android designated Sarah, stated a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Effective immediately, but signed 2 weeks ago. Huh. Well, at least we got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are, but Noble could have easily argued that you fall under private technology or physical holdings unless I had something like this. It's good that you do, then. I'm glad that Father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah. This will give me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying, all colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. It doesn't make me feel any better. You can cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. Is there an upcharge at this hour for... There is an upcharge at this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. But I'd like to have more than just a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Adonai. They did an experiment where they tried to see if blindfolded humans could follow a scent across a field. Apparently, we can after some practice. Interesting. I'm not going to say whether or not it's wrong, Ms. Wicked Wolf, because I do not understand why you have that desire. Does it excite you, going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves. You don't feel the fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your raging assembly of witnesses. Do you really think this is going to be like some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? Probably not. Though that would be nice if it were. What's your deal? Anyway, did David train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something? We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking, though he was rarely the one who suggested it. So you were the aggressor. What's an android get out of watching a flick, anyway? What do I get? Why do you do it? What is your reason? I'm not sure how to answer your question. Never mind, forgot what I was talking to. I like the performances. Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something? He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. Oh, shit. That's why she's picking up on so much of what Morgan does. She recognizes Morgan's entire persona as a performance. Shit. That could be a problem. The truth is, besides Father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I hadn't noticed. I read the net, I watch people, what they share of their lives, and it's also subtle, hard to follow. But there are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're also complex, so detailed, but the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate, their body language is precise and meaningful. That's really fascinating. She likes movies because actors are easier to read than normal people. Oh, I like that. That's good. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction, so these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You can just watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure. Back when I was a kid. Really? Who was your favorite director? What was your favorite film? Yeah, I wasn't necessarily going to say it out loud, Rem, because a lot of Android characters end up being autistically coded, but from what my experiences have been, you know, with people in my life who have diagnosed autism, it rang some bells. It was a long time ago. I don't remember. Oh. This story's really well built. The mystery's decently built, but the character stories are really well built. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse, though I always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers, all-encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues, with a couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead, or that he'd have thrust an android onto my lap either. Could just walk in there and concede. Emma will be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain, loudly, of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? Must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide. I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. Oh, that's a fair point, Rem. That's well articulated. Thank you for that. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state, because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I am making progress. Well, shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it will be difficult to summarize that progress in terms of completion percentage. Give me your best shot anyway. 4%. Are you feeling confident in your case? Markedly less so, after hearing that. Do you think the judge will be amenable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjutants are always a coin flip, so you do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and a gavel when we get in there? Should I not? Adjutants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that entails. Oh, shit. Really? Automated dependents that preside over trials for the state. While most adjutants are designed and sold as software and then loaded onto courthouse-specific hardware, including android bodies, they can interpret trial proceedings and render judgment based entirely on stenographer records if need be, ruling cases in an entirely digital capacity. Reviews of adjutants by third parties have shown that they are overwhelmingly more equitable and even-handed in their sentencing than human judges. Because they cannot be bribed or intimidated, adjutants are especially preferred for cases involving organized crime and corporate misconduct. Adjutants use a 9-fold personality engram for rendering their judgments and building consensus, known as the nonary system among software engineers. Because each of these 9 personas are constructed by a different think tank or institution from across the political spectrum, ideological contamination in adjutant units is practically impossible. Huh. So they're built on the premise of we put a bunch of contradictory ideological leanings in there with the intention that they cancel each other out. Not sure that's how that works, but interesting theory. There have been a small number of reported cases where nonary processing has born particularly enthusiastic or eccentric personas, presumably in an unorthodox, if not effective, attempt to reconcile particularly disparate opinions across their 9 constituent personalities with a single authoritative, loud voice. I mean, like in terms of actual programming, I have no idea if it has any basis, but in like conceptually, if you were going to try and design an android judge, like obviously pretty much all the power gets placed in whoever programs it. So if you gather 9 sets of programming parameters from 9 different legal experts or legal teams with different approaches to the law, then I suppose depending on how you program it, it'll either lean in a direction that makes most sense, or it is looking for the overlap and removing the bias to find out what is consistent and devoid of the specific political leanings. Huh. Interesting. Not something that I want in real life, obviously, but like it is interesting that they address like the primary problem with the idea of, well, honestly, giving authority to artificial creations at all, which is that all the power is in the hands of whoever programmed it. This is partially why facial recognition software is a goddamn nightmare. And a lot of the AI for like sorting resumes and all this stuff, it should be outlawed because it carries all the biases of the people who programmed it, because it doesn't have anything in place to deal with potential even subconscious biases. It just assumes the people who programmed it knew what they were doing. Well, the net is usually still how it's referred to in a lot of cyberpunk. I feel like it's kind of endemic to the genre. Who's to say the hardware couldn't be tampered with? I mean, like, that's a completely separate thing, and I don't know if that's something that'll come up in this game. It might take it as a given that it can't be. Which, like, so for instance, I have my own advanced technological setting that I might eventually write something in. And like, I do just kind of take as a given, like, here's this system, no, it can't be broken into. And like, I don't know enough about programming to justify why that is the case, but for narrative purposes, it just can't. So until this establishes that that is a concern, I'm kind of taking it as a given that that's not an issue. With the state court's backlog essentially cleared from the past half-decade, questions arose in the continued need for adjutants to lighten the judicial system's human resource burden. But Senate Investigation Committee determined that removing adjutants from the legal system would be prohibitively expensive at this point. Oh, that's interesting too. So they weren't meant to permanently replace human judges. They were put in place to clear the backlog. And then it would have been more work to get rid of them. Oh, somebody really thought through this. Oh, that's fascinating. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. Oh, okay. So oh God, why? What was it again? The adjutant. Okay, so the adjutants they're not setting precedents. They're only dealing with interpreting laws and rulings based off existing precedent, but they don't set new precedent. Okay, that makes sense as like a safeguard to keep machines from basically rewriting the law when no one's looking. Okay. Yeah, again, a lot of thought went into this. I like it. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in courts requires years of legal expertise. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm. So androids are used to reduce caseload. Been that way for decades. But how was a law that replaced judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions, stalling? Judges did fight it for years at every level and in every theater. But the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by the unrelenting force of our own great nation's accountants. And it's not controversial, having machines determine sentencing for human beings. Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. That's valid. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high-profile crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week. And that's not rushing things. Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I mean, you could argue that a week is too short, but like... court cases don't take months and years often because they're that complicated. They are deliberately made more complicated because of the interested parties trying to sabotage each other. So, there have been real instances of judges using AI to write opinions. It was caught because the AI was hallucinating case situations. Yeah, I know. And before that, there were lawyers trying to use it to write their briefs, and it did the exact same thing. It hallucinated precedents that didn't exist. Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in Android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick. Whoa, that's cold. I mean, fits Morgan, but still. I see. But if adjutants are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Why aren't they used in politics? That's a logical question to ask. And the answer is, that logic only gets you so far when it comes to people. That's a good answer. Doesn't everyone want the courts to be as just as possible? If adjutants are truly impartial and incorruptible, everyone wants justice, sure. But there are other considerations to be had, such as disgust. What? That's all people really care about, what their morals boil down to, just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras and no one ever gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. You wouldn't though, would you, Morgan? I don't understand. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem. Hello? Ah. Courtroom 48D. All right. Hey, Emma. Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You would know it from the look on her face. But I shouldn't have expected any leeway once we stepped into the courtroom. Not with her. That's the adjutant up there. Is it asleep? It's it's loading! That is a, curiously busty model to load a judge into. It needs to load. Don't be rude. Not every ad can afford to be decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those the state buys in bulk. There's an audience. You mean the gallery? That's nothing. Could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Asher's death must have spread like wildfire. Even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press, but uniformed officers had little to lose and a lot to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. Then there's the corporate plants. Interns usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside the courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are gonna get out one way or another. I don't like having my face on camera. I don't like the attention in general. But I'm not such a coward that I'd skip David's funeral just because there'd be paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness was going to end up in the background of some tabloid photograph one way or another by the end of this circus. At least this way, it's decent marketing for my legal services. What will happen once the adjutant finishes loading? How will the trial proceed? With all those films you watch, I figure you could extrapolate. I am asking as to correct my misconceptions. Well, not everything you saw on the silver screen is outdated. The court will come to order. There will be a clarification of the charges. The defense enters a plea, and if it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case. That means calling witnesses to the stand, correct? Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Depends on the security concerns surrounding the particular individual and the case. What do you do then? Sit here and watch? Not if I want to get paid. I cross-examine witnesses after the prosecution are done questioning them. I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response, as long as I have discovery backing me. You've said that before. Discovery just means I can't pull stuff out of my pockets and present it without any kind of context. I have to have proof that I acquired it legally during the course of my investigation. Most of the time that means having recordings or witnesses that can verify my investigation, which I can provide. You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you? And the jury, I don't see where they would sit. The jury hasn't sat in the actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch a feed of the trial's proceedings in anonymity. I don't usually have trouble with that one. And that's not an issue. Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them? You've got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? But there's no jury in a preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution has enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never any shortage of evidence to work with. So all you have to do today is convince the adjutant? Easier said than done. Adjutants lean heavily towards evidence over arguments. That makes sense. Right now, all the evidence suggests that David killed himself. If it's going to be an uphill battle, I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternate interpretation of the facts, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect or even a motive for killing David. Yet. Anyway, I need to be sharp. If it doesn't play nice. I think it's waking up. Oh, the hands. Maybe it is just my interpretation, but I do wonder, is this legitimately intended visually to be like the state bulk bought a bunch of cheap models that happen to be designed to look a certain way and be appealing in a certain way and just uploaded judges into them. Oh boy. This third lower court is now in session. Adjutant AD-84 presiding. Oh, she's got the glasses with the it's like the emoticon sort of things. Okay. I call to order the case of the people versus Asher. Do the people wish to make an opening statement? No, Your Honor. No point in bothering when it's just the adjutant here. Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement? Not at this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get this shit show started. If neither people nor the defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage. My model name is Adjutant. My unit designation code is AD-84. I am a machine, an automated dependent, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. You might find yourselves wondering why. What gives a machine the right to judge a human? A fair question. The answer is simple. In every culture and every society, no matter how it is worshipped, enshrined or deified, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Damn, man. Like a balanced equation, like the golden ratio, like the Vitruvian man, justice is beautiful. So what gives me the right? This gorgeous spot. Okay, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, we did. I'm glad I read the whole thing on the adjutants because it does give you the heads up that they can be eccentric. Whatever, forget it. Forget I said anything. I was trying to lighten the mood, but I see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me. They're guilty or whatever. Jesus Christ. Good grief. Oh shit, she's tall. Hold on. Oh shit, she's over 8.5 feet tall. God damn. Okay. This is amazing. I love this. Open, obedient, observant, oh people. Wow. Wow. Oh, damn. Okay. Your Honor? Wait, what the flip? This defendant's already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this a debug thing? Because I'll log the error if I need to. No, Your Honor, this is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Asher did in fact commit suicide as he... I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone. I didn't realize adjutants were so lively. They aren't. They're supposed to be austere and statuesque. Looks like we got served the most in need of repairs adjutant the court system could find. Yeah, bratty giant robot lady is, you're not wrong, Trista. Good grief. Whatever paper pusher we rushed to get this trial going must have wanted a little payback for the kindness. What's that look for? Could it be you're trying to size me up? Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor. Good. Because if you have doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always just enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you'd find my ruling to be fair and even-handed. That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there, even counting all the flesh and blood judges I've met. But she's still just an adjutant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So as long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outburst from the bench, my plan's still workable. So people, shall we get started with that first witness? Right away, Your Honor. The people called Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand. Who? Who? Wait, who? Oh! Okay, the the medical examiner. Right. It's Yumi. Hey. So how about it, pretty lady? You swear to tell the whole and unadulterated truth to the best of your ability. I do. Good enough for me. God. Dr. Sato, you were in charge of the autopsy for David Asher, were you not? I was. And when did you make your examination? A little warm in here. Hang on. I started last night. Well, technically, 1 a.m. would be very early this morning. Okay, I now know what to put in my virtual reality killing game tournament story to appeal to Trista. You'd have a target demographic of at least one. Thank you for the super chat, Nightmares. I appreciate that a lot. I think you can still say last night if you're talking about 1 in the morning. Objection! The defense will have their opportunity to cross-examine. Until then, they should refrain from making errant remarks. The hell? All I said was, yeah, what she said. You mean sustained? Don't get cute with me, counselor. Okay. That's not even my fault. You give me deductions for stuff the game isn't giving me a chance to opt out of? Well, I guess it's making the point. If I piss off the judge, I lose stuff. I get it. Being cute is my job. God damn, we barely got started. That seems pretty bad, Adonai. Making mistakes will increase your blind. Yep. That was the point being made. Blind is how much credit you'll lose for answering incorrectly when you yourself aren't controlling the ante. Blind increments on its own throughout the trial as the stakes get higher, but reset at the end of each day. Blind starts at and caps out at a high number if you're playing in high roller, which I am. Mind the blind numbers in the top left when it appears. Helps you gauge what you stand to lose. Okay. Should try to avoid being penalized in the future. Thanks for the tip. Shake it off. I'll get my chance to raise objections of my own soon enough. Dr. Sato, were you able to determine the cause of death? He passed away due to respiratory failure. Could you explain what that means to the court? Essentially, he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood. It seems by the time he arrived at the hospital, he was no longer breathing. What does respiratory failure look like? What are the symptoms? There would be lightheadedness, dizziness, fainting, pale skin, a bluish tinge across certain extremities, and the condition he was in matched those symptoms? Correct. In your experience, what are the most common causes of respiratory failure? It can be caused by injury or disease, but the subject had no wounds or reported illness and otherwise appeared to be perfectly healthy. And what else could cause respiratory failure then? It is also commonly seen in fatal drug overdoses. Did you perform a tox screen on Dr. Asher? Yes, but his tox screen came back clean. Whatever killed him, it wasn't something we've encountered before. Clean tox screen? Clean? Well, we knew this. It's in the evidence. Yeah, alcohol was the only item positively identified. We knew this. Dialogue will proceed automatically during testimony, but you can choose to advance tech manually with continue. You'll need to read carefully and wait for witnesses to make a statement that sounds wrong. Then hit the call button to call their bluff. Hover over the call button or toggle on Insight to focus on the claims with a witness statement. Insight can be disabled in settings. Testimony will loop until you call. Okay. So wait. I'm not sure I just did that right. No, that's not what I needed. Damn it. Okay. Fuck. All right. All right. Okay, this... Haven't had to do this part in a bit. Why are those the pieces of evidence? Why those? Because my inclination is to bring up the talk screen. Like, what? What? Yeah, what? What is any of this? Okay, this is starting to tick me off. So wait. What does this have to do with anything? What? I'm confused. So wait, why were those even the fucking option? Okay. So some shit I'm just supposed to let pass? What the Okay, what the fuck? Dude, like, what? Why are these the fucking options? What the fuck? Like, what the hell? Yeah? No, but none of the... Okay, so wait, was it that I called at the wrong point? Was that the problem? Okay, hold on. Oh. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. That's where I was okay. That's where I was fucking up. I was fucking up because she has to be at the applicable part of her testimony at the point that I call. Because I was right about what I needed to call with, but I was doing it too early and I wasn't waiting for the right point. Okay. I get it now. Maybe I should have understood that before, but okay. All right. That makes sense. And that scared you? The witness merely misspoke, Your Honor, as is plainly stated in the Talks report itself. Dr. Asher did have alcohol in his blood, not such a concentration as to be lethal. Yep, my bad. When I say the talk stream was clean, I just meant it didn't tell the attending physician anything they didn't already know. Overall, a little more nitpicky than I like to be, but at least I was able to balance the momentum more or less. All right. Culture has a lot of elements traditionally found in cyberpunk, like extreme body modification, and not just presented in a dystopian context. Actually, is cyberpunk necessarily dystopian? Yes, because cyberpunk isn't just about advanced tech. A core tenet of a cyberpunk setting is corporate takeover. So unless you're trying to paint megacorps as a good thing, it is innately and inherently dystopian on that basis. Like, the punk part of cyberpunk is rebellion against the corporate structure. That's where the punk part comes from. Otherwise, it's just cyber. Yeah, I haven't played Ace Attorney before, Rem. If the tox screens were negative for pharmaceuticals and drugs, what caused Dr. Asher's respiratory failure? During my autopsy, I analyzed his blood, was able to isolate a foreign component. So there was a lethal dose of drug inside his body. It just happened to be a drug that the hospital had never encountered before. That's correct. I think we're going to get tired pretty fast if we don't at least pick a placeholder name for the substance, Your Honor. The people don't object, Your Honor. In that case, I'll put my creative heuristics to work coming up with an original scientific fitting name for the substance. A name like Omega. Omega-3. That name is already taken. Fine, call it Delta or whatever. Delta, used in science to denote unknown variable. That's not bad. Delta has other meanings when it comes to drugs, but yes, our Delta matches no known public pharmacological or toxicological records. That being said, chemically it does have all the hallmarks of a general depressant. I know the feeling. So it stands to reason that it would exhibit a similar effect on the body when ingested. You say ingested, why? I eliminated all the other possibilities during my examination of the body. He must have swallowed it, and judging from his stomach contents, it must have been a liquid. Thank you, Dr. Sato. Shall I summarize things for the court? Yes, please. I wasn't listening that closely. The victim died of respiratory failure. His tox screen showed that his blood was clear of anything that would cause respiratory failure, except for an unknown substance. The poison we've labeled Delta. Well, that sounds like a textbook suicide. Should we wrap up here then? Not quite yet, Your Honor. This may clearly be poisoning, but there's at least one detail about this case that doesn't feel like suicide at all. The people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. There's nothing textbook about a supposed suicide that has a witness sitting there watching it happen. As you say. Well, now I'm lost. Was this poisoning a suicide or not? If that's the case, then perhaps we should give the defense the opportunity to cross-examine. Unless they're going to insist on testifying themselves. How kind of you to offer. Ball's in my court now, so how do I counter? Emma's argument basically goes as follows. David ingested the Delta knowingly, and the Delta caused his respiratory failure. He died of respiratory failure, thus David committed suicide. Oh, it's blackjack now? What? During blackjack, every piece of information you learn deals you a card. Choose only the questions that are logical and relevant, and only press if you think a line of questioning is worth continuing, or else you'll go bust and lose credit. Okay, this is new. Select the press option to see what the follow-up question would be. You can only win blackjack when you reach exactly 21 if you don't press. So don't press further if you're already there, and don't ask the wrong questions. For my cross-examination, I need to put a microscope over the weakest part of the argument and hope that some cracks will appear under pressure. This is the part that's assumed. So wait. Dr. Sato, you said the subject had to have ingested the Delta orally, but how sure can we be about that? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I could go into detail about all the cavities that I checked, but... But how sure can we be that the subject ingested the Delta knowingly? Well, we can't be sure of that. Certainly not just from an autopsy. You said it must have been a liquid, yes? Would it have been a large amount? Depends on the concentration of the delivery solution. It could have been just a drop. Kind of thing that could easily go unnoticed, yes? Calls for speculation, Your Honor. Withdrawn. Oh man, I wanted to jump on her case. I mean, that is the thing we're most certain of. This is based off assumption. I mean, much stronger assumptions than the first one, but okay, we'll try this. Dr. Sato, you were only able to identify the presence of Delta after hours of work. Can you really be sure that this never-before-seen chemical can cause respiratory failure? Well, I have had time to run simulations, and they do give every indication that it would act as a depressant. Ingest enough of any depressant and respiratory failure would occur. Okay, but... No, that's not what I would want to press on. Yes, of course only simulations. That's all that's safe. That's a stupid follow-up. We're not doing that. Is it possible he actually died from something other than respiratory failure? Well, no, not really. Yeah. Okay, so I should have pressed. Fuck. That didn't make sense, though! That didn't make sense as a follow-up! Fuck! God damn it. God damn it. Okay. So I guess we press this. That's a bad follow-up, though. Why is that the press? Fuck. This is where I get annoyed at adventure games and visual novels and stuff like that. When, like, the shit that makes sense to me isn't what I'm allowed to do. But if I... But, like, the thing that it does want me to do doesn't make sense to me. And, like, I always hesitate to call it a problem with the game because it just means my thought process isn't the same as the developers. But it is what turns me off a lot of games like this. And now, granted, I'm invested enough in this that I'm powering through. But this is my first major annoyance because I don't remember it happening before. No, I haven't. Okay, there we go. Yeah, yeah, it's unethical. That's a stupid point to press because the answer's fucking obvious. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't understand what you're getting at, Morgan. Without such a test, you don't actually know for sure that Delta can cause any of the symptoms you described. Well... No, but that's still, legally speaking, a stupid point. Was there a question in that statement, Counselor? You don't actually know for sure, do you? No, not yet, anyway. Seems like that's... Blackjack. Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, Dr. Sato. We all appreciate it. Seems like we're all still in the dark about many details regarding Dr. Asher's death, wouldn't you say? Well, poisoning via the compound we're calling Delta is still the most likely explanation. So there are other explanations for what happened. Yes, $2.55, somebody paid me as well. But, like, I honestly have half forgotten that. I have legit been enjoying this game. Defense is calling for speculation, Your Honor. It's not speculation when a medical examiner is attempting to explain the cause of death, Your Honor. The witness will answer the question. God, she's such a brat! Well, respiratory failure can be caused by illness if he had undiagnosed pneumonia or some other disease and his respiratory system was weakened. Undiagnosed pneumonia with his level of health care? It is technically possible. I'll take it. I have no more questions for this witness. Ugh, that felt weak, but I can't be picky when I'm stalling for time. Seeding doubt wherever I can, however I can, is just about all I can manage. Okay, we're moving on to the next witness, which, given the time, we're going to save it there, and we're going to call it a stream. So we'll be back on Wednesday next week. We'll see if maybe we can finish it up. Or finish up this episode at least. I would think I was only commissioned for the first 2 episodes. I'd have to double check that. There is another, well, I mean, it's technically it's episode 0 and episode 1, but I need to double check the commission on that. But regardless, we'll probably wrap this up next week, either Wednesday or Friday. Tomorrow's video on the main channel, which is currently up for early access for Patreon supporters and YouTube members, is about Pete Docter, the chief creative officer at Pixar, who had that lovely line about how he justified removing queer elements from Pixar products because they don't make, quote, hundreds of millions of dollars in therapy. So I have a go at him for a while because, oh boy. Anyways, that will be tomorrow's video. It is in early access, new podcast on Monday, and that's what is coming up. Also, tomorrow's my birthday. So, you know, pour one out for me, I guess. No. I don't know. Whatever. Everybody have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be well, be safe, and be kind. I'll see you.